Good morning and welcome to the launch of the Nexus Extreme with Mips, a brand new cutting-edge head protection solution from Centurion Safety, featuring the Mips Cradle that is available to order in the UK from today. I'm your host, Georgina Bisbee, and joining me today is Olof Rylander, Senior Business Development Manager from Mips, along with Chris Tidy, Technical and Training Specialist at Centurion Safety. Over the next half hour, Olof will be sharing some insights into rotational head injury and the Mips technology, which will set the scene for Chris to show us the Centurion Nexus Extreme with Mips and explain why the launch of this product is such a special milestone in head protection history. And then we will have some questions from journalists. I will just add that we are completely live, so hopefully this will go very smoothly, but please do forgive us if it doesn't go completely seamlessly. Bear with us. But without any further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Olof Rylander in Stockholm, Sweden, who is at the Mips headquarters to tell you more. Olof.
Thank you very much, Georgina, and thank you very much, everyone, for listening in, taking the time here in the morning to listen to our presentation, this launch event. Excited to see that there's this many listening in to us. Very good. I'll share my screen here and make a little PowerPoint presentation for every one of you. Sorry about this. Okay, so a little short introduction here about Mips. I'll talk a little bit about the company Mips and why the human brain is sensitive to rotation. Then I go over to what this Mips safety system does and how it works. So starting off with the company. So first, it's important to say that Mips, we are an ingredient brand. So we do not have our own helmets. We work with already existing helmet manufacturers around the globe in different segments and integrating our technology into their helmets. That's what we do. Mips was actually born out of a science collaboration between the Karolinska Hospital and the Royal Institute of Technology here, both here in Stockholm. It started with a brain surgeon at the Karolinska Hospital. He was frustrated with the amount of patients that got into his office or his clinic and had brain injuries even though they wore helmets. So he started to think that there's got to be a better way to protect our heads. So he reached out to the Royal Institute of Technology. This is back in 1995. And they started a working group to see if they could find solutions to address this issue. Today, we sit in this beautiful building here that you see on the mid picture. We are 50 employees in our facility here in Sweden. About 20 of them are engineers working for our science and development team. And we have also 3 PhDs in our group. And everyone here are fully dedicated to develop and implement solutions within brain safety. And I got to think this is unique in the world to have that amount of engineers and PhDs to only focus on brain safety. We have today 121 active customers in all our segments. And during 2020, we sold 7.2 million units. And as you can see in the little graph there, we went from 5 million units 2019 to 7.2 million units in 2020. So a terrific growth rate within the Mips company here. Since 2017, Mips is listed on the Nasdaq Stockholm, and we have a current market cap of about $2 billion. So these are our active categories that we work in. So it's 9 of them. We are most known for our helmets in bicycle and snow segment, but we do grow in all the segments that we are in. And today, of course, we're extremely excited to get Centurion be part of our industry category. We partner with some of the best or most famous helmets brands in the world. So again, exciting here to see that Centurion is making the cut and is on this exclusive list here now. So as you see here, we have 9 of the 10 biggest brands in bicycle, and we work also with the 6 top brands in snow. So why is the human brain sensitive to rotation? So important to know here first is that both traumatic brain injuries and concussions are normally caused by strain in the brain. So how do you get that strain? Well, for strain in the brain to occur, the brain needs to move inside our head. If it doesn't move, there will be no strain. The brain is more likely to move when rotational forces are introduced to the head compared to linear forces. And I always do an example with a bottle of water here. So if you have a bottle of water and it's completely filled with water, the brain and water has kind of the same shear properties. So when you shake a bottle of water that's full from side to side like this, you will see that not very much happens inside the bottle. The water stays fairly still. And that's the same in our head when it's a linear force to it. On the other hand, if you stir it or you do a twisting motion like that, you will see that the water in the bottle is spinning, and that's what happens in our head. So the brain can start to move, and then you can get strain on your brain. So it's actually then brain tissue that it's stretched to a point where it starts to be damaged. Studies have shown that the brain is about 6 to 7 times more sensitive to rotational forces than linear forces. Actually, the head and brain is fairly well designed to absorb linear forces and not so well designed for rotational forces. Almost all head impacts will generate at least some rotational force to the brain. Very unlikely to get a hit on your head and there is only linear force. Since it sits on the top of your body, it will always kind of whip, and so making the brain start to move inside. So we can also visualize this. I talked about the bottle of water. Here we have one of these snow globes, and they're kind of the same principle here. We can see now, I will start the little movie, when we shake it from side to side, that the snowflakes will pretty much stay still. And then when we twist it and tilt it a little bit, much more will move inside here. So I played this little short video. And this is the same principle in our head. So linear impacts, not a lot of rotational energy that goes into the head, and it will be pretty still inside there. But when you have an oblique impact or a tangential force hitting your head, rotational energy will be introduced, and that's when you see the movement inside your skull. We can also see this using FE models, finite element models. So we have an exclusive right to use the Royal Institute of Technology's FE, finite element brain model, for helmet safety. So the same tool is used in other industries by other companies, but for brain or for helmet industries, we have an exclusive right to use this tool. Here we can now simulate the difference between a linear impact and an oblique impact where rotational forces are introduced to see the difference in strain level of the brain. So I play a little video here. The ball that you see bouncing in the middle is just so you understand that this is a linear impact, and then the second one is an oblique impact. So we start the first movies here, linear impact, and you can see that the strain levels are very moderate. You see some light blue and so come up on the screen, which means that there are some strain in the brain, but not very minor. So most likely that would be okay for you. If we now do the same speed, but we introduce a rotational force to the picture, you will see how much difference that model shows the strain level. So all of a sudden you have red zones indicating severe strain levels inside of your head. So how does the MIP safety system work? So the MIP safety system basically is a low friction layer that's inside your helmet. And you see it here on the picture inside the hard hat, this little yellow layer. And what it does is that at impact, the MIP safety system reduces the amount of rotational force transferred to the head by redirecting these forces. And it does this by allowing a 10 to 15 millimeter relative movement between the helmet and the head during the first critical 5 to 10 milliseconds of the impact. And just to get an understanding how short period of time we have to play with here, the 5 to 10 milliseconds, the wink of your eye is 100 milliseconds. So this is a 10th to a 20th of a wink of an eye. Very short period of time where the MIPS technology needs to work. And then we often get a comment that, hey, I have a helmet here and I think I don't need MIPS because when I shake my helmet from side to side here, it moves on my head. So I must have already have it or something like that. Well, this is without a load on your head. So when impact occurs, it's not uncommon that it's forces up to 1,000 kilos on your head. It can even be more than that. And the MIP safety system is designed so the helmet moves even under that kind of pressure. So that's where it's really unique. So how did we come up with this idea then? Well, we actually mimicked our own protection in our skull, so the evolution. If you look at the picture to the left, you have a cutout of our head, you see the skull bone, you see the brain, and in between there is cerebrospinal fluid, which actually allows the brain to move inside our head. So when you do a complete nod of your head like this, the brain can actually move up to 10 millimeters inside our heads, and that's completely fine. That's a protection system we have, so the brain tissue is not getting stretched. The problem occurs when there is more movement. So what we've done then is that we have mimicked this exact same principle, but we put it in the helmet. So we have this layer, and we now allow also the helmet to move 10 to 15 millimeter relative to the head. So we have two layers of protections, one inside now and the MIPS layer inside the helmet. So if you simulate the MIPS effect with using this Royal Institute of Technology's FE model again, we can see how it works inside our heads. So this would be showing the same impact, even using the same helmet, but helmet without MIPS on the top and the same helmet with the MIPS layer inside. Before impact, we don't have any strain levels at all. And then at impact, we can see that for this specific accident that we kind of simulated, we got some severe brain strain in the brain here. The red zones would indicate severe brain injuries maybe. And if you look at the bottom one, where we had the same accident, simulating the same accident, but with a MIPS layer inside, we have been able to reduce these strain levels significantly. So that's a really good picture to look at. We have several MIPS concepts that all does pretty much the same. But what we do is that we can actually place this low friction layer we have in different layers of the helmet. So you can see here it's 8 different concepts where A, B, C, and E are like this one. It sits on the inside of the helmet. So it's between the liner of the helmet and your head and allows the helmet to move. But we also have other concepts like D, F, and G, where the low friction layer sits in between the hard shell and the liner. So it's the liner itself and the hard shell that moves in relative to each other. We even have a concept H, where we have the low friction on the outside of the helmet. In total, we have about 200 patents that protects our technology, and it's spread over 40 patent families. That was everything for me, so thank you everyone, and go back to Georgina.
Thank you, Olof, for that very insightful presentation, and I think one that challenges what a lot of us thought we knew about head injuries and head protection. We are now coming back to British soil, and it is finally time to head over to Thetford to Chris Tidy for the grand unveiling of the Nexus Extreme with MIPS. So Chris, over to you.
Hi everyone, thanks very much for joining us, and thank you for handing over to me, Georgina, and thanks Olof for that presentation. It was really insightful. So before I show you, the inaugural event, actually reveal the helmet itself, just a couple of bits I just want to say about Centurion, if that's okay. So Centurion as a company were born in 1879. When they were born in 1879, they were known as the Patented Pulp Manufacturing Company. Now they've been protecting people, we have been protecting people, for years against obviously head injuries in some way, shape or form. Ever since we actually brought our first helmet out in 1882, so a very long time ago. But during that time, during all those over 140 years, there have been, many proof points in Centurion's rich history, all which we're really, proud of. To build, to innovate, to constantly improve, these are the human instincts we're dedicated actually to protecting. Now, we've been giving workers the confidence to think clearly for, hundreds of years. safeguarding the ideas and the imaginations that actually shape our world. It's the reason why I get out of bed every morning, the reason why everyone that works at Centurion gets out of bed every single morning. And it's the reason why we, you know, as a company and as the people within the company, we constantly strive to advance our head protection systems going further. So obviously you can go further from a protection level, and hence this partnership, you know, with MIPS. So without further ado, I will show you the helmet, and we'll do a quick 360 so you can see it on camera. Hopefully there, excuse me. Hopefully I can give you the round robin view. You can see obviously there you've got the MIPS logo, which obviously this would show it from any other helmet. It's actually our Nexus shell. So you can see here on our Nexus, we have our rear venting. We have a micro peak here, which is designed for upward visibility, but also as well that if you do slip, trip and fall from the same level or one level above, that you've not got a peak there that when you fall over, it's not going to hit on the ground and then could possibly obviously damage your neck. So that's one of the reasons why we actually come out with this micro peak. It's a 4-layer system in this new shell. So we have the outside ABS shell, which obviously dissipates the actual impact itself. We have a liner inside which will decelerate the impact as well. We have a cradle that will dissipate basically or help with the shock absorbency side of it. And then we have the MIPS system, which obviously will redirect rotational forces, and that's what Olaf was talking to you about. So I'll give you a quick 360. We'll spin all the way around before I actually show you the internals. Cover my face up a little bit. There we go. And here you can see the internal. I'll try and make sure I just keep it on camera. And there's your frictional layer, low frictional layer, actually inside the helmet that has that 10 to 15 millimeters of relative movement, but of course, exactly like Olaf said, actually under pressure, sometimes up to that 1,000 kilos. So that is it. That's our Nexus Extreme Mips helmet. And back to you, Georgina.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Chris. I'm actually just going to keep the spotlight on you for a moment, if that's okay, because I have a few questions to share that have been sent in by members of the press. But first of all, I would like to ask a question myself, if I may, and that is, where does this product fit into current standards for head protection? Do any of these existing standards stipulate that head protection should feature rotational protection? And if they don't, do you think they should?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Georgina. Thank you for that. Unfortunately, they don't currently at the moment. There's not a standard from the industrial perspective that actually has that rotational injury element actually within it. Dearly, yes. Going forward, you know, I'd love for it to be in there. I'm currently working on EN 397 or the changes within EN 397 with a great team from lots of other manufacturers, and we are talking about that. It would be nice if, you know, we had it as maybe, you know, an optional element to actually test for that. So yeah, in answer to your question, not currently at the moment, Georgina, but hopefully it will do in the future.
Thanks, Chris. So watch this space by the sounds of it. I have another question now, and Olaf, actually, I'm just going to pass over to you for this one. And this has come from Kelly Rose, who's the editor of Health and Safety Matters, and she wants to know, is there anything else like this currently on the market?
Thank you very much for that question, Georgina. It's really not, you know, there is the way we address rotational motion is really unique. And we also have strong patents, which makes it very hard to do something similar, to copy our technology and so. So we are what we know of. We don't see any technology that is anything close to us. So no.
Okay, thank you. Short but sweet. Another question actually for you, Olaf. We'll stick with you for a moment, please. And this one's come from Charlotte Stonestreet, who's the managing editor of Industrial Plant and Equipment magazine. And she says, why has it taken so long to bring this technology to the industrial safety market?
Another great question. especially since we've been around now quite a few years, but it's actually ourselves to blame that we didn't enter earlier. We kind of disqualified ourselves for this category. We didn't think that, the way that bicycle accidents and snow accident happens, you have a lot of speed, and so we don't see the same speed in the construction industry, But when we started to evaluate it more carefully, we really saw something else. This has been a 3-year project for us to go into this industry, where we have evaluated accident data, both in North America and Europe, see what kind of accident occurs, how does it affect your head, and what kind of head injuries do you get. And once we did that, we saw that, well, there is no initial speed many times with these accidents, but something else is hitting your head with a lot of speed. And the same kind of injuries, the same kind of forces comes to your head in this industry if you compare it to bicycle and snow and so. So we were ourselves to blame. We didn't do this earlier. Now we know better, and we're super excited to go in here with Centurion now.
Brilliant. Thank you, Olof. Chris, I'm going to just pass back over to you for the next question, actually, please. And this comes from Mark Anthony from Demolition News. And he says, we see operatives wearing hard hats on top of hoodies and beanie hats in the winter. How do you think they will respond to the idea of wearing a hard hat with a chin strap?
Yeah, it's a great question, Mark, and thank you for that. Yeah, it is a problem within industry. We try and drive that from an awareness perspective, not just us as a manufacturer, but obviously other manufacturers of safety helmets try and drive that to say, please don't do that, because the helmet can obviously move around. It's not in contact with the head, and it can come off in an incident, and then obviously you've got a bare head, basically, with no protection. So we do licensed products ourselves. We do a winter beanie, and we do a cold weather hood system that obviously people can wear, and other manufacturers do as well. But going on to the chin strap side of it, the one thing that we do campaign that as well as everything else, and we do talk about, is we want the helmet to stay on your head. So please, a chin strap would really help in those types of scenarios. I had a customer actually contact me just recently that said there was an incident where someone's helmet had actually come off their head as they'd bent down, and there was a near miss, as something actually fell. And of course they were saying that wouldn't have happened if they were wearing a chin strap. So we do like people to wear chin straps. One thing I will go back and say is, look, please email me. Let's work together on this. It would be really great. Send me an email. We'll work together and we'll produce something that might be able to obviously help your readers and inform them of the issues with wearing hoodies and the benefits of wearing chin straps. Great, thanks, Chris. And I have another question here. This comes from Sarah Robinson, who is the managing editor of Tomorrow's Health and Safety magazine, and she says, other than investing in the best head protection, how can we better manage head injuries and concussion in the workplace? Yeah, thank you for that. As Centurion, and I'm proud to be part of Centurion, and obviously as our partnership with MIPS, we're working very closely with a lot of companies to try and spread that message and get people to really sort of understand how debilitating those injuries can be. We partner, as a lot of people we know, with Headway as a charity. So do MIPS as well from a corporate side of it. So we have an event every single year. Now, we had our first event was last year. It was called the Hard Hat Awareness Week. Our next event is actually in June, so we'd really like people to participate in that event. You find all the details on the website and actually on LinkedIn, so on some social media. And there we actually are using that forum, that channel, to raise awareness and really get people to understand. Also pre that, we're hoping to bring out something from a concussion recognition perspective that's applicable to industry as well. So that would be really cool. So we are trying to do as much as we can as a manufacturer in partnership with sometimes other manufacturers, and of course definitely with the likes of MIPS and sometimes with some distribution companies as well.
Great, thanks Chris, lots to keep an eye out for there. One final question, and perhaps one of the most important questions of all, is where can people get this product from?
Yes, so head over to the website. You'll find obviously the details of the products actually on there. You can then make a product inquiry. We'll put you in touch then with your local distributor that would actually stock that product. So that's really nice and easy. If you want to grab some, if you are a distributor and you want to grab some assets over there, then you can actually do that from the website as well. We have lots and lots of assets available. One of our ladies that I work with very closely, Michelle Brown, has been working tirelessly to produce lots and lots of assets that are available. So yeah, so just head over to the website, or you can email me if you want, and I'll put you in contact with someone.
Brilliant, thank you very much Chris, and I'm afraid that is all we've got time for today, but as Chris said, there's lots more information available on the Centurion website, which is centurionsafety.eu, and if you did have a question that wasn't answered today, then please do get in contact with Centurion via the contact details on their website, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you out. You can also find out about where to order samples as well on their website. So that's it for today. Thank you Olaf and Chris for your very insightful presentations, and thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye for now.